Rabbit wakes up. First day of the month. Rabbit opens his phone. Notification. Rent payment due. 1,200 leaves. Rabbit sighs. Rabbit transfers 1,200 leaves to his landlord. Rabbit has been doing this for 10 years. 10 years times 12 months times 1,200 leaves. That is 144,000 leaves. Rabbit paid 144,000 leaves. For what? Nothing. Rabbit owns nothing. Rabbit has no equity. Rabbit cannot paint the walls without permission. Rabbit cannot get a dog without approval. Rabbit scrolls through social media. Rabbit sees a photo. His landlord on a new boat. Caption: Living the dream. Rabbit stares at the photo. Rabbit feels something heavy in his chest. Hollow. Empty. Rabbit paid for that boat. Rabbit is trapped. And Rabbit is just starting to realize it. Part 1. The Illusion. Let's be clear from the start. Renting is not evil. Renting is a tool. Short term, renting makes sense. But using that tool for 30 years straight? That's not strategy. That's a trap. Most rabbits think renting is cheaper. Most rabbits are wrong. Rabbit sits with his friend. Friend says, "I'm buying a burrow." Rabbit laughs. Why? Mortgage is 2,000 leaves per month. Rent is only 1,200. You're wasting 800 leaves. Friend says nothing. Friend just smiles. 10 years later, Rabbit is still paying rent. Actually, no. Rent went up. Now Rabbit pays 1,800 leaves per month. Friend? Friend paid off half his mortgage. Friend owns 50% of a burrow worth 300,000 leaves. That is 150,000 leaves in equity. Friend also rents out one room for 800 leaves per month. Friend's actual cost? 1,200 leaves per month. Same as Rabbit. But Friend is building wealth. Rabbit is building someone else's wealth. This is the illusion. Rent looks cheaper. Rent feels easier. Rent is a slow trap that closes over decades. Part 2. The math that will haunt you. Let's do the real numbers. These are simplified examples, not a mortgage calculator. Real costs vary by city, rates, and taxes, but the principle stays the same. Scenario A. Rabbit rents for 30 years. Starting rent, 1,500 leaves per month. Rent increases roughly 3% per year. This is typical, sometimes more. Year 1. Rabbit pays around 18,000 leaves. Year 5. Rabbit pays around 20,600 leaves per year. Year 10. Rabbit pays around 24,000 leaves per year. Year 20. Rabbit pays around 32,400 leaves per year. Year 30. Rabbit pays around 43,600 leaves per year. Total paid over 30 years, approximately 777,000 leaves. What does Rabbit own after 30 years? Nothing. Zero. A folder full of old lease agreements. That's it. Rabbit stares at the folder. 30 years of payments, and nothing to show for it. Rabbit feels sick. Scenario B. Rabbit buys a burrow. Burrow costs 250,000 leaves. Down payment, 50,000 leaves, 20%. Mortgage, 200,000 leaves at roughly 6% interest for 30 years. Monthly payment, around 1,200 leaves. Note, this ignores property tax, insurance, maintenance for simplicity. We'll address that later. This is the baseline. Wait, 1,200 leaves per month? That's less than Rabbit's current rent of 1,500 leaves. Year 1. Rabbit pays around 14,400 leaves. Year 10. Rabbit still pays around 14,400 leaves. Fixed mortgage, doesn't go up. Year 20. Still around 14,400 leaves. Total paid over 30 years, approximately 432,000 leaves. But here's the difference. After 30 years, Rabbit owns a burrow. Burrow is now worth around 600,000 leaves. Assuming roughly 3% annual appreciation, historical average, not guaranteed. Rabbit paid around 432,000 leaves. Rabbit now has asset worth around 600,000 leaves. Net position? Positive 168,000 leaves. Compare to renting. Renting cost, roughly 777,000 leaves. Asset owned, 0. Buying cost, roughly 432,000 leaves. Asset owned, around 600,000 leaves. Difference, nearly 1 million leaves in total net position. Almost 1 million leaves. Same 30 years, two completely different lives. Rabbit who rented can't retire. Rabbit who bought can. Part 3. The Landlord's Secret. Rabbit finally asks the question, if renting is bad for me, why do landlords love it? Because landlords understand something Rabbit doesn't. Real estate is the ultimate wealth-building machine. Here's how landlord wins. Landlord buys a burrow for 250,000 leaves. Landlord puts down 50,000 leaves. Landlord takes a mortgage for 200,000 leaves. Landlord's mortgage payment? Around 1,200 leaves per month. Landlord rents the burrow to Rabbit for 1,800 leaves per month. Every month, Rabbit pays 1,800 leaves. 1,200 leaves pay down the mortgage. 600 leaves go straight into landlord's pocket. Rabbit is buying the burrow, for landlord, with Rabbit's money. After 30 years, landlord owns the burrow outright, worth 600,000 leaves. Rabbit paid 648,000 leaves total in rent. Rabbit owns 0. Landlord started with 50,000 leaves. Landlord now has 600,000 leaf asset, plus 30 years of 600 leaf monthly profit. That's another 216,000 leaves. Total landlord gain, 766,000 leaves. Rabbit provided most of it. This is not evil. This is just business. But Rabbit needs to understand the game being played. Rabbit works 40 hours per week. Landlord collects rent while sleeping. Both started the same. One understood the system, one didn't. And now, one is on a boat, while the other pays rent. Part 4. The Equity Trap. Most rabbits say, but I can't afford to buy. Let's examine this. Rabbit pays 1,800 leaves per month in rent. Rabbit says he can't afford 1,200 leaves per month mortgage. Does this make sense? No. The real problem is not the monthly payment. The real problem is the down payment. Rabbit needs 50,000 leaves to put down. Rabbit doesn't have 50,000 leaves because Rabbit has been paying rent. This is the equity trap. Renting prevents you from saving. Not saving prevents you from buying. Not buying forces you to keep renting. It's a perfect loop, designed to keep Rabbit paying forever. Rabbit gets a letter from his landlord. Rent increase 1,800 becomes 2,100 starting next month. Rabbit can do nothing. Rabbit has no leverage. Rabbit doesn't own the burrow. Rabbit just lives there, at landlord's mercy. Rabbit sits at his kitchen table. Rabbit does the calculation again. Rabbit realizes he's been funding someone else's retirement for a decade. Rabbit stares at the wall. This is his life now. Paying. Owning nothing. Building nothing. Rabbit feels exhausted. Not physically. Somewhere deeper. But Rabbit keeps reading. Because Rabbit wants out. Part 5. But rent has benefits, right? Rabbit hears the counter-argument. Renting gives you flexibility. Renting means no maintenance costs. Renting means you can move anytime. Let's examine these. Flexibility. Yes, Rabbit can move more easily. But where does Rabbit move to? Another rental. Another landlord. Another lease. Flexibility is valuable when you're 22 and exploring. Flexibility becomes a cage when you're 45 and still renting with no equity. No maintenance. True. When the sink breaks, landlord fixes it. But Rabbit pays for this. Rent includes maintenance cost plus landlord's profit margin. Rabbit is paying for maintenance, just indirectly, and with a markup. Can move anytime? Can you, though? Most leases are 12 months. Break the lease early? Penalty fee. Lost deposit. Bad reference for next landlord. The freedom of renting is mostly illusion. Meanwhile, homeowner has real advantages. Equity builds every month automatically. Mortgage payment stays fixed. Rent climbs forever. Can renovate, customize, rent out rooms. Can refinance if rates drop. Property typically appreciates. Rent payment evaporates. Eventually, mortgage ends. Rent never ends. Rabbit who owns can pass the burrow to his children. Rabbit who rents passes them nothing. Part 6. The down payment problemo. Okay, Rabbit is convinced. Rabbit wants to buy. But Rabbit doesn't have 50,000 leaves. How does Rabbit escape? Option 1. Save aggressively. Rabbit currently pays 1,800 leaves rent. Rabbit makes a hard choice. Rabbit moves to cheaper rental at 1,200 leaves. Rabbit's friends notice. Why did you downgrade? Rabbit doesn't explain. They wouldn't understand. Yes, the new place is smaller. Yes, it's farther from downtown. But Rabbit saves 600 leaves per month. Rabbit also cancels Netflix. Rabbit cancels Spotify Premium. Rabbit cancels the gym he never uses. Rabbit stops ordering food delivery. Rabbit cooks at home. Rabbit finds another 200 leaves per month. Total savings, 800 leaves per month. 800 leaves times 12 months equals 9,600 leaves per year. Rabbit also sells his old gaming console. Rabbit sells his extra laptop. Rabbit sells clothes he never wears. Another 2,000 leaves. Year 1 total saved, 11,600 leaves. Rabbit opens the savings account. 11,600 leaves. Not much, but real. For the first time, Rabbit is building something. In 5 years, Rabbit has 58,000 leaves. Rabbit has his down payment. Is 5 years a long time? Yes. Is it better than 30 years of renting with zero equity? Absolutely. Option 2. Side income. Rabbit gets a side hustle. Rabbit does freelance work on weekends. Rabbit drives for delivery apps. Rabbit sells things online. Rabbit makes extra 500 leaves per month. All of it goes to down payment fund. 500 times 12 equals 6,000 per year. Combined with 9,600 from cutting expenses equals 15,600 per year. Rabbit has down payment in roughly 3 years. Rabbit is tired on weekends. Rabbit's friends go out. Rabbit stays in, working. But Rabbit knows why he's doing this. Rabbit is building his escape route, 1 weekend at a time. Option 3. House hacking. This is the secret weapon. Rabbit buys a burrow with multiple rooms. Rabbit lives in one room. Rabbit rents out the other rooms. Example. Burrow costs 250,000 leaves. Mortgage, around 1,200 leaves per month. Rabbit rents out 2 rooms at 700 leaves each. Rental income, 1,400 leaves per month. Rabbit's actual housing cost, minus 200 leaves per month. Rabbit is living for free, while building equity, while tenants pay the mortgage. While tenants make Rabbit richer. This is how smart rabbits escape the trap fast. Option 4. Lower down payment. Not all mortgages require 20% down. Some require 10%. Some 5%. Some programs even 3%. 50,000 leaves at 20% down. 25,000 leaves at 10% down. 12,500 leaves at 5% down. The catch? Lower down payment means higher monthly payment. Mortgage insurance, PMI, added. More interest paid over time. But here's the key insight. Even with PMI, even with higher interest, owning is usually better than renting long-term. Why? Because rent climbs forever. Mortgage eventually ends. PMI eventually drops off once you hit 20% equity. Start with 5% down if that's what you can do. Get in the game. Build equity. Refinance later when you have more equity. Part 7. The market timing trap. Rabbit has another excuse. The market is too expensive right now. I'll wait for prices to drop. Rabbit has been saying this for 5 years. Prices went up 40%. Rabbit is now even further from affording anything. Here's the truth. The best time to buy was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. Waiting for the perfect time is another trap. Why? Because while Rabbit waits, prices usually trend upward long term. Rent definitely goes up. Rabbit pays more rent every year. Rabbit still has no equity. Even if Rabbit buys at the top of the market and prices drop 20%, Rabbit still owns something. Better to own a burrow worth 200,000 leaves than to own nothing worth 0 leaves. The rabbits who wait forever end up renting forever. Markets go up, markets go down. But over 30 years, real estate historically appreciates. And even if it doesn't, you still have a place to live that you own. Rent gives you neither appreciation nor ownership. Part 8. The lifestyle trap. Some rabbits can afford to buy, but they choose not to, because they want the lifestyle right now. Rabbit makes 5,000 leaves per month. Rabbit could buy a modest burrow in a decent area. Mortgage would be around 1,200 leaves. But Rabbit rents a luxury burrow for 2,500 leaves instead, in a trendy neighborhood, with a rooftop pool, with a doorman, with floor-to-ceiling windows. Rabbit posts photos on Instagram. Rabbit gets likes. Rabbit feels successful. Rabbit is getting poorer. Landlord owns the luxury burrow. Landlord is getting richer off Rabbit's need to feel rich. The lifestyle trap is choosing temporary status over long-term wealth. The Instagram-worthy apartment over the boring house you actually own. The fancy address over the equity. The flex over the freedom. 10 years later, Rabbit still looks cool on social media, but Rabbit is broke in real life, and still renting, and still one rent increase away from panic. Part 9. The real cost. Renting doesn't just cost money, it costs something deeper. It costs stability. Year 8 of renting. Rabbit comes home from work. Envelope taped to the door. Landlord is selling the property. Rabbit has 60 days to move. Rabbit didn't do anything wrong. Rabbit paid on time every month. Doesn't matter. Landlord made a business decision. Rabbit has no say. Rabbit scrambles to find a new place. New place costs 400 leaves more per month. Rabbit has no choice. Rabbit signs. This is renting. Constant low-level anxiety. Will I be able to afford this next year? Will they kick me out? Can I really settle here? Or is this temporary too? It costs freedom. Rabbit wants to paint the bedroom dark blue. Lease says no. Rabbit wants to get a dog. Landlord says no pets. Rabbit wants to install better lighting. Not allowed to modify. Rabbit's home. Landlord's rules. Rabbit lives in someone else's space, following someone else's rules. Always temporary, never fully yours. Every decision requires permission, from someone who doesn't live there, who doesn't care how Rabbit feels, who just wants rent on time. It costs legacy. Rabbit dies at 70. Rabbit rented his entire adult life. Rabbit's children inherit his belongings, some furniture, some photos, some savings if Rabbit was lucky. Total inheritance, 15,000 leaves. Rabbit's friend dies at 70. Friend bought a burrow at 30, paid it off at 60. Friend's children inherit the burrow, worth 800,000 leaves. Total inheritance, 800,000 leaves. Same lives, same jobs, same income. One choice different. Rabbit's children start from 0, just like Rabbit did. Friend's children start with 800,000 leaves. They can buy their own burrow immediately, or invest, or start a business. Rabbit's grandchildren will also rent. Friend's grandchildren will also own. One decision, 3 generations affected. Part 10. The exceptions. Now, let's be honest. Not every rabbit should buy right now. Don't buy if you're moving in less than 5 years. Buying and selling has transaction costs, realtor fees, closing costs, moving expenses. If Rabbit moves in 2 years, Rabbit probably loses money on the deal. Rent short-term instead. You're in an unstable job. If Rabbit might get fired or is changing careers, buying is risky. Can't pay mortgage without income. Rent until your situation stabilizes. The market is genuinely extreme. Some cities have prices so inflated that rent truly is much cheaper. If mortgage is 4,000 leaves, but rent is 1,500 leaves, and you can invest the difference wisely, renting might win short-term. But this is rare, and Rabbit must actually invest the difference. Most don't. You have high-interest debt. If Rabbit has credit card debt at 20% interest, pay that off first. Don't buy a burrow while drowning in debt. Get stable, then buy. You don't have an emergency fund. Don't spend every leaf on a down payment. Keep 3 to 6 months' expenses in reserve. Burrows have unexpected costs. Roof leaks, heater breaks, foundation cracks. Rabbit needs a buffer. Renting is a perfectly fine short-term tool. It's renting for 30 years that becomes a trap. Part 11. The Action Plan. Rabbit is ready. Rabbit wants out of the trap. Here's exactly what Rabbit does. Month 1 to 3. The Audit. Rabbit sits down with a notebook. Rabbit tracks every leaf spent for 30 days. Rabbit finds the leaks. Netflix, 15 leaves, gone. Spotify, 11 leaves, switched to free version. Gym, 30 leaves, cancelled. Rabbit runs outside now. Food delivery, 200 leaves per month. Rabbit cooks instead. Rabbit finds 500 leaves per month to cut. Rabbit opens separate savings account. Rabbit names it Burrow Fund. Rabbit sets up automatic transfer every paycheck. 500 leaves disappears before Rabbit can spend it. Month 4 to 6. The research Rabbit checks credit score. Score is 620. Not great. Rabbit finds errors on credit report and disputes them. Score goes up to 680. Rabbit researches first-time buyer programs. Rabbit learns about FHA loans, 3.5% down. Rabbit learns about VA loans, 0% down if eligible. Rabbit finds state down payment assistance programs. Rabbit calculates. With 4,000 leaves monthly income, Rabbit can afford roughly 200,000 to 250,000 leaf burrow. Rabbit starts looking at neighborhoods. Not the trendy ones, the up-and-coming ones. The ones Rabbit can actually afford. Month 7 to 12. The grind Rabbit gets a weekend side hustle. Rabbit delivers food Friday and Saturday nights. Extra 600 leaves per month. Rabbit negotiates a raise at work. Rabbit gets 200 leaves per month more. Rabbit sells his gaming PC he never uses. 800 leaves. Rabbit sells old furniture. 300 leaves. Rabbit sells collectibles gathering dust. 400 leaves. Rabbit moves from 1,800 leaf luxury apartment to 1,200 leaf basic apartment. Saves 600 leaves per month. Total new monthly savings, 1,900 leaves. Rabbit is tired on weekends. Rabbit's apartment is smaller and further away. Rabbit's friends think he's being cheap. But Rabbit opens the Burrow Fund app. Balance, 8,400 leaves. Rabbit stares at the number. This is real. This is mine. Rabbit feels something he hasn't felt in years. Hope. First year total saved, 22,800 leaves. Year 2. The accumulation. Rabbit keeps grinding. No excuses. No, just this once luxury purchases. Every paycheck. 1,900 leaves to Burrow Fund. Every bonus at work. Straight to Burrow Fund. Tax refund. Burrow Fund. Burrow Fund grows to 45,000 leaves. Rabbit starts working with a mortgage broker. Rabbit gets pre-approved for a 200,000 leaf loan. Rabbit narrows down to 3 target neighborhoods. Rabbit visits open houses every weekend. Rabbit learns what good deal looks like. Rabbit learns what red flags look like. Cracked foundation, water damage, bad roof. Rabbit is learning. Rabbit is preparing. Year 3. The purchase month 36. Burrow fund hits 50,000 leaves. Rabbit finds a burrow. Not perfect, not trendy, but solid. 3 rooms. Needs some cosmetic work. Good bones. Price, 240,000 leaves. Rabbit makes offer, 235,000 leaves. Seller counters, 237,500 leaves. Rabbit accepts. Down payment, 47,500 leaves, 20%. Closing costs, 5,000 leaves from savings. Signing day. Rabbit sits at a table. Rabbit signs 47 documents. Rabbit's hand cramps. Final signature. Lawyer hands Rabbit a set of keys. Rabbit holds the keys. Rabbit's hands shake. Not from fear, from relief. Rabbit owns something. For the first time ever. Year 4. The optimization. Rabbit moves in. Rabbit rents out one room to another rabbit for 700 leaves per month. Rabbit's mortgage, 1,200 leaves. Rental income, 700 leaves. Rabbit's actual cost, 500 leaves per month. Less than half of what Rabbit used to pay in rent. And Rabbit is building equity. Rabbit builds emergency fund of 10,000 leaves. Rabbit keeps living below means. Rabbit paints the walls dark blue. Because Rabbit can. Because Rabbit owns the walls now. Rabbit gets a dog. Because there's no landlord to say no. Year 5 to 10. The acceleration. Rabbit's burrow appreciates roughly 4% per year. Rabbit's equity grows. Not just from payments, from market appreciation too. Rabbit refinances when rates drop to 4.5%. Saves 200 leaves per month. Rabbit puts that 200 toward principal, paying off mortgage faster. Rabbit considers buying a second small burrow to rent out entirely, or paying even more toward principal to own the first burrow faster. Every month, mortgage balance dropping, net worth growing, options expanding. Rabbit sleeps better, because Rabbit is no longer trapped. Rabbit is building something. Year 30. The Freedom Rabbit is 58 years old. Final mortgage payment processed. Rabbit owns burrow outright. Burrow now worth roughly 600,000 leaves. No more housing payment. Ever. Rabbit can retire early if he wants, or keep working because he enjoys it, not because he has to. Or sell and buy Dream Burrow. Or pass it to children so they never have to start from zero. Rabbit has options. Rabbit has freedom. Because Rabbit escaped the trap 30 years ago. Part 12. The Choice. 2 rabbits, same starting point. Both 25 years old. Both earn 4,000 leaves per month. Rabbit A rents forever. Pays 1,500 leaves per month. Rent increases over time to 2,500 per month by age 55. Total paid over 30 years, roughly 750,000 leaves. At age 55, owns nothing. Still renting. Cannot retire because rent never stops. One rent increase away from financial crisis. Rabbit A gets a letter. Rent increasing to 2,900 per month. Rabbit A cannot afford it. Rabbit A has to move. Again. At 55 years old. Rabbit A's children inherit. 0 leaves from housing. Rabbit A's children will also rent. Cycle continues. Rabbit B sacrifices early and buys. Saves aggressively for 3 years. Lives in a smaller place. Works weekends. Skips the lifestyle. Buys modest burrow at age 28. Pays around 1,200 leaves per month mortgage. Rents out extra room for 600 leaves. Net cost, 600 leaves per month. At age 55, owns burrow outright. Burrow worth approximately 600,000 leaves. No housing payment. Rabbit B can retire. Or work by choice, not necessity. Can travel. Can help children buy their first burrow. Has stability, freedom, options. Rabbit B's children inherit. 600,000 leaf asset. Rabbit B's children start with massive advantage. They can buy immediately. Cycle broken. Same 30 years. 2 completely different endings. One rabbit owns his life. One rabbit rents his life. The trap is real, but the escape is also real. Rabbit just has to choose. Keep paying landlord's mortgage, or start paying his own. Rabbit wakes up, first day of the month, but this time it's different. Rabbit opens his phone. Notification. Mortgage payment processed. 1,200 leaves. Rabbit opens the banking app. Rabbit checks the details. Mortgage payment. 1,200 leaves. Principal paid this month. 420 leaves. Interest paid this month. 780 leaves. Burrow equity statement. Last year this time, 7,200 leaves. Today, 12,800 leaves. Growing. Every single month. Rabbit checks property value estimate. 267,000 leaves. Rabbit bought for 237,500 leaves 3 years ago. Appreciation. 29,500 leaves. Rabbit owns 12,800 leaves in equity, plus 29,500 leaves in appreciation. Total net position, 42,300 leaves. In 3 years of owning, Rabbit built 42,300 leaves in wealth. In 10 years of renting before that, Rabbit built 0. Rabbit smiles, not because the numbers are huge, they're not, yet, but because they're growing, every month, automatically. Rabbit owns something now. Rabbit is building something. Landlord no longer controls Rabbit's future. Rabbit does. Rent is not evil. It's a tool. Use it when it makes sense, but don't let it use you for 30 years. Check your bank account. See how much you paid in rent last year. Multiply by 30. Now imagine that money building equity instead, building stability instead, building freedom instead, building legacy instead. The trap is open. You can walk out. The path is hard, but it's there. And Rabbit is proof it works. Rabbits together strong.